Nothing manipulates you more than your emotions, especially when it comes to guilt, and especially when it comes to a guilt-inducing narcissistic toxic mother. I just want to make it clear that everything I say in this and other videos is applicable to narcissistic mothers and fathers, even if the examples I give are of just one or the other gender. If you've been feeling guilty around wanting to set some boundaries with your mother, then this video is for you. When I was younger, my whole personality was plagued by guilt. I was constantly overwhelmed because I took on responsibilities that were not my own. Now, there were people who noticed this personality trait in me and they took advantage of it. And there were people who just didn't realize that I didn't actually want to take on those responsibilities because I didn't communicate my needs. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was actually overly dependent on external validation. I wanted people to see me as a good person. Unfortunately, what this meant in practice was ignoring my needs in order to get this validation. I was scared out of my mind of saying no to people. And it was quite irrational at the time. But upon further analysis, I realized that I was scared of punishment. I thought something horrible and catastrophic would happen if I actually said no to people. I also had a hard time believing that anyone would stick around and want to have a relationship with me if it wasn't constantly self-sacrificing. I was so emotionally dysregulated that I couldn't handle feeling the guilt. Sometimes I had emotional reactions that lasted hours or even weeks. So I just eventually caved into whatever guilty feeling I was experiencing and did whatever I felt pressured to do. I had no idea what my needs and values were because I was consistently looking outside of myself and trying to guess how to people please. This naturally attracted and created non-reciprocal toxic relationships. I felt like my life and my resources weren't actually my own. And when it came to my mother, unfortunately, like many daughters and sons of narcissistic parents, I secretly asked myself if it would take a long time for my mother to pass away because I thought I would only ever be able to do what I wanted to do if she weren't alive. Now, I know this is really heavy to hear, but the reality is I wasn't alone. Many daughters of narcissistic mothers feel the exact same way. Now, when it comes to toxic family systems, we have to understand that social emotions such as guilt, shame, and fear are used to keep people in line. But how is this done? Toxic family systems are enmeshed. This means that there's no healthy boundaries between the individuals. And this means that people actually work together as one gigantic organism. It's almost as if the members of such a family system don't have the permission to think and act according to their own values. Within this bigger dynamic, everybody has a job to fill. So essentially, if you have a job to fill within a bigger system, you can't just go off and do your own thing because the system needs you. It needs you to keep doing that job. For example, your job might be to be the family fuck up. That way, everyone can pretend to be perfect and blame you for all of their shortcomings. It's a pretty convenient way to protect one's own self-esteem. Or you might be the fixer and caregiver. And since other people don't want to take responsibility for their own lives, they need you to keep doing your part. Or maybe your role is to be inadequate, fragile, and dependent. This way, your mother can feel important and needed. Whatever the role, when you start individuating, stepping into your own person, then you threaten the system. You step out of the role that was assigned to you, and this wreaks havoc on the whole system at large. If you step out of the role that was assigned, then who are they going to blame? Who is going to fix their problems? And who is going to make her feel needed and important? When you start your individuation process, the family system feels it and they start reacting in order to pressure you to step back into your role. And the easiest way for them to convince you to do this is by using really uncomfortable emotions such as guilt, shame, and fear. So you're hit with guilt tripping whenever you try to step outside of what the family expects, when you don't save people, or when you try to set boundaries. Fear because there might be retaliation of some sort, like maybe some favor is going to be withdrawn or there's going to be a smear campaign if you don't succumb. Shaming works to make you feel worthless and unlovable. And this is going to persuade you to give up on the idea of having your own life. So what essentially happens is, there you are going down your individuation process. The family system notices, people start reacting. It activates all of this fear, this guilt, the shame that has been inside of you since you were a little child. You don't know how to regulate your emotions. You're scared of dealing with the unknown. Because better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Because you're emotionally overwhelmed, as you hit that ceiling right before you step out of the role that you were assigned, you get too guilty and you go back. And then this keeps happening over and over again until most children of narcissists give up because it seems hopeless. Hey guys, if you're getting any value from this video, then download your free PDF, Break the Chains, 10 Steps to Stop Your Narcissistic Parents' Control. You can find the link in the description box. And if you want more videos like this, then smash that like button and subscribe. So what do? What do you do when the guilt strikes? The first thing is just to wrap your mind around what's going to happen. when you start individuating. Essentially, nobody knows your mother or your narcissistic parent the way that you do. And what this means is that you're probably well versed on what's going to happen in terms of retaliation if you step out of your role. If you prepare for all of that psychologically, it's not that it's going to be comfortable. It's not going to be comfortable to be guilt tripped, but you're going to be more aware and you're going to have greater tools to deal with it. Program your mind to expect the guilt tripping, but to still keep taking steps anyway. You have to understand that unless you can get control of your emotions like guilt, then the family system will always control you. You're either bigger than the guilt, even if it's scary as hell, or you will simply keep going back to that loop. And eventually you might just give up on individuating altogether. So number one, accept that you're going to be guilt tripped and know that it's going to be uncomfortable. Number two, make a list of exactly what's going to happen in terms of retaliation. Is your mother the type to fall ill if you don't do what she wants, or to use real health issues in order to manipulate you? Is she going to use family problems to make you feel personally responsible for fixing them, even though you weren't the one who caused them? Make a list of everything you know is going to happen. And new things might happen, okay? There could be a couple of surprises here, depending on how intensely the family system wants to react. But most of it is oftentimes pretty predictable. And jot down how you're going to react to this internally and also externally beforehand, because these are going to be real obstacles. Your family might try various different strategies to get you back to your place. If you're prepared for these different strategies, things become easier. So for example, if she uses her loneliness or tells you that she's being abandoned, then remind yourself that she pushes people away. That's what she's done throughout the years because she doesn't take accountability for her own life and for the way that she mistreats people. She also doesn't take accountability for her mental health in order to make her relationships get better. And that because of this, there's absolutely nothing you can do to make people come back to her life. This is just a repetition of the cycle that she's caused. Giving up your freedom and self-esteem isn't going to help her in any way whatsoever, because you can't fix someone else's problems no matter how much you try if they aren't engaged in fixing them themselves. And that's just the way reality works. Unfortunately, oftentimes when it comes to narcissistic people, you can't even alleviate their problems because essentially nothing you do is ever good enough. If she uses health scares to manipulate you to be by her side, then make a list of what you actually want to contribute in terms of help versus what you don't need to subject yourself. There's a difference between dropping off some medication from the pharmacy and listening to her badmouth the neighbors for 5 hours. You can take her to the doctor or call an Uber for her, but you don't have to accept her complaining about life and belittling you. If family problems are used to guilt trip you back into your fixer role, then remember that you're actually being an enabler. And being an enabler means that you keep people in their dependent, maladaptive coping strategies, and you're actually helping them get sicker and sicker and become more and more infantile. You don't want your guilt to turn you into an enabler. Next, find supportive voices and messages to keep you on track. When you start your individuation process and when you muster up that courage to take steps despite the guilt, there's gonna be a war in your mind. Part of you is going to say that you're an ungrateful daughter, you're just a bad child, that you're dishonorable, that you're evil, that you're exaggerating, that it's not that bad, that you should just leave it as it is. And part of you, and this is your true voice, this is your inner compass, this is the part of you that wants to actually build a sense of self. This other part is telling you that deep down inside, you've always known that there was something wrong and that you have to create greater freedom for yourself and that your life is yours to live. So when this internal war starts, it's a lot easier to stay on track if you surround yourself with supportive voices. This could mean finding a free support group online or joining my support group, so you're always in touch with people who are going through similar things. Curate the content you consume so you can watch at least one video daily on breaking free from narcissistic relationships, on dealing with toxic mothers. Leave post-its around your house reminding you that your life is important, that there is nothing to be gained by going back to old dynamics, and that you owe it to your inner child to give her a better future than the past that she was given. Or maybe schedule some sessions with a therapist or a coach that is well-versed in narcissism. Next, you want to be extra kind to yourself as you go through this process and understand that you might actually regress. So what does this mean? Every time we're dealing with leveling up, there's going to be a lot of internal self-sabotage because all of this change takes effort. And biologically, we're all wired to not consume excess resources unless it's absolutely necessary. So your whole system is going to tell you to stop and go back. And this might cause a type of psychological collapse where you actually go back to older maladaptive coping strategies. Understand that it's okay for this to happen temporarily to a certain degree. It's okay to eat a pizza this week. Just don't completely derail. You might need to do things that provide you emotional comfort, like watching an old movie that makes you happy, going out for a walk whenever you feel too dysregulated, listening to a playlist that calms you or motivates you, and accepting that healing happens in spirals. This means that you might be dealing with an issue here, but then you expand in terms of tools and consciousness, but then you spiral back around and you might go back to dealing with the same issue. But this time around, you have this expanded awareness and this greater strength and more tools. But it's helpful to just accept and expect that you're going to revisit the same issues over and over throughout your life. It's not failure. It's not that your healing process isn't working. It's just the way that it works. And remember to have realistic expectations of this process. Understand that it's going to be uncomfortable, but that you're never going to regret giving yourself the life that you deserve, or even figuring out what type of life you want to live, because you might have no sense of self at this point, and you might have no idea what you want to experience. And also, last but not least, 1% improvement each day is more than enough. This will compound and create an effect that you can't even imagine right now. So to sum up the main points of this video, nothing manipulates you more than your emotions. You need to understand that your family system works as a huge living organism, and there's a place for you. When you step out of this place, the system is going to react. They're going to use guilt and other social emotions. You need to self-regulate, surround yourself with support. Understand and accept that it's going to be uncomfortable, but keep getting in touch with this inner voice, your inner compass, that is creating a new sense of self, maybe for the first time in your life. If you found value in this video, then you might like this other video as well.